If last week's episode really hit home, then you already know. Delegation isn't broken. It's the leadership model that didn't evolve with your business. So what happens when delegation starts to fail? Most founders don't stop delegating. They just become the final decision maker. And that's what we're going to talk about on this episode today. Because being the bottleneck, it doesn't always look like micromanaging. Sometimes it looks like love, responsibility, and really trying to be the good boss. So let's dig into what's really going on when your team still brings options for everything, but no decisions. Welcome to Female Founder Unplugged, the show where we cut through the noise and have a real, raw conversation about what it takes to build and scale a successful business as a female entrepreneur. I'm Lindsay White, people strategy expert, leadership coach, and fellow founder. And I know firsthand the challenges of scaling sustainably and staying connected to your passion along the way. This podcast is for ambitious women just like you, seasoned founders and CEOs navigating the challenges of leadership, team building, and sustainable growth. In each episode, we'll dive into those topics that are most important to you as a female founder. You'll hear honest, no BS conversations about building, growing, and leading a team and culture so that you can grow without losing yourself in the process. Because let's be real, entrepreneurship can feel isolating and leadership doesn't come with a roadmap. If you've ever struggled with the pressure of running a business, felt overwhelmed by growing your team, or wondered, how do I scale without sacrificing my vision and my purpose? You're in the right place. Let's get unplugged. All right, my friends, welcome back to the second part in a two-part podcast. And what we're going to talk about today is this final decision maker trap. And here's what happens. Your team asks for input and you give it. They bring you options and you weigh them. They wait for your blessing and you feel responsible about everything. Does this sound familiar to you? If every decision in your business still needs you, your leadership hasn't actually shifted. The accountability hasn't shifted. The ownership has not shifted. You're still the hub, just with a better looking Slack channel and some options. Okay, my friends, that is not going to help you scale your business. So what we need to do is really increase the capability of our team. And it's not because your team is lazy or unsure or even that you have the wrong people. It's because of three important things. There is a real lack of decision-making rights. There is unclear authority. And there is absolutely a fear in your team that they're going to get it wrong. And most of the time, you and others like you have unintentionally trained the system to wait on you, right? Like teams are not stepping up when leadership steps in. And I will tell you, I have clients right now in my accelerator program that this is actually one of the first things we had to tackle is that they keep stepping in. So it's not micromanaging. They're not controlling every detail. But what they're doing is very silently indicating that they need to be consulted on every decision. This is where we get into the lack of decision-making rights, the unclear authority, and of course, this fear of getting it wrong. Your people don't want to disappoint you. And so actually, with your behavior, with your stepping in, you're creating the sense that you don't believe in them. And that's what we've been doing with some of the ladies in the accelerator right now. And it's really tricky because I certainly have clients in the accelerator that swear up and down that they trust their team, that they really believe in the work they do, that they really value them as team members. Listen, I don't doubt that for a second. I know that that is true. I know that you probably have people on your team that are the same way. But every big decision, she's quietly redeciding it. Out of love, out of fear, or out of wanting to get it right. I don't know. You pick. It's different for every decision, of course. But what's happening with this client in particular, her team is getting pretty disengaged. And she's actually kind of started to resent that because she knows that this isn't working for her. It's making her feel really overwhelmed and burnt out. It's making her feel like she has to be on 24/7. And she really thought the answer was letting go. No, that's not it. She didn't need to let go more. She needs to lead more clearly. And I'm telling you that I see this all the time. It's not that we need to let go. Actually, I would bet that you're a pretty good delegator. But what we're not doing very well is leading. Okay. We're going to shift that. So what I see, and I think what a lot of us do, is we get involved in this culture protection myth, right? So let's just call it out that so many founders that I see hesitate because they want to protect their culture, right? They want to have a really positive, high performing place to work. They want people to feel great, respected, seen, heard, valued. But what we do in the process of serving that, having that really incredible culture, is we avoid the clarity. I see founders avoiding hard conversations, avoiding giving tough feedback, because clarity feels harsh. It feels unkind. Sometimes it feels very corporate, and we're trying to avoid that. And I get it. Listen, I want to acknowledge that I get that. I hear that all the time, and I understand where it's coming from. But here is the truth. Kindness without clarity isn't culture. It's just avoidance. And all that emotional labor, that's falling on you. All the worry, all the stress, all the concern, that's on you. It's not on them. They're not feeling that. You're feeling that. And so this is why I like to talk about productive tension. We need to be clear with each other. We need to be clear and honest in our feedback. And that's an entirely different episode. But that is the key here, my friends. So let me tell you a story here about one of my really values-driven founders who struggled a bit. She really was focused on this culture, this vibe in her business. And she didn't want to hurt people's feelings. She didn't want to be bossy. Right? Like, she was very opposed to that. She'd had very negative experiences. She'd worked for someone who micromanaged. She worked for someone who led with shame. She was extremely sensitive to not being that kind of boss. Listen, I get it. I think we can all identify that, right? We've all worked for that person that we really despised. But as a result, she swung the pendulum the other direction. She took on more very quietly, very repeatedly. She just gradually accelerated what was on her plate and started to burn out all by herself. She just felt so alone, and avoiding the discomfort of having that productive tension, of having that direct and honest feedback. She really felt like she was being kind by doing that. But she wasn't being kind to herself, my friends. She thought she was being kind to her team. But what she was doing was just the straight road to burnout. And it just wasn't sustainable. When we started working together, she was exhausted. And it was all in service of these incredible values, all in service of this wonderful team that she really loved. But the truth is, it was not in service of the business. It was not in service of the clients, and it was actually not in service of creating a high-performance environment. Like, if people don't know what they need to work on, then how can they possibly get better? But this is the stories we tell ourselves. So if you're hearing yourself in any of this, let me offer you a different path. At this stage, leadership isn't about being everywhere. You cannot be omnipresent. You cannot be on 24/7. You cannot make every decision. You already know this. You don't need me to tell you this. You know this. But let's be clear. This means we have to really clarify decision ownership. Who can make decisions at what space, at what time, and at what level? We've got to have a really, really well-designed matrix for that. We need to have explicit expectations. This can't be, well, they know what I want. That is not good enough. They need to hear it. It needs to be extremely clear, probably even written down. There needs to be great leadership presence from you without being on call 24/7. And sometimes what that leadership presence looks like is, I need to give you some direct feedback. Sometimes that means I need you to know that what you did there was exceptional. Keep going. And everything in between. You need a structure that supports, not controls. We can't come up with a policy or procedure for every single thing in our business. What we need to do is build a structure that people can operate in. We need to really give them the right concepts, right? So that they can build and grow. And yeah, they can make mistakes and you can help them understand what they need to do differently. Leadership at this level is not about you doing more. It's about leading with greater intentionality. It isn't just about delegating tasks. It's about delegating ownership. It's about delegating accountability. It's about giving people really clear outlines of where they can operate. And when you do that, they can be unleashed to deliver for you. And that frees you to have the space to grow and scale your business, to have some freedom and flexibility, to enjoy what you've created and lead with real effectiveness. And listen, I know no one has taught you this. This is the tricky part. You were told to hustle, to figure it out. But there is a real gap here in your growth and the guidance and the training and the expertise that you've received. And this is the work that most founders skip right before things in their business start to stall. And I see this all the time. I hear about it. And I got to tell you, it absolutely deeply impacts me. I heard a story about a business owner the other day. She's got an incredibly successful business. She's got about 15 or 20 people working for her. She's losing her marbles. She can't work any harder and her business isn't growing as a result. This, what we are talking about right now, this is the problem for her. And it breaks my heart to hear that she is struggling with this, where these changes, these small changes, can make an enormous impact on your business. And this is exactly what we're driving to inside of the LPC Accelerator. This is the work that we do. So if this is hitting home for you, if this feels real, if it hits you right in the gut, stay close. Because next week, we're going to start digging into how you start building a leadership structure that really frees you. It fuels your team. It scales your vision. It's incredibly talented people, including you, to do the work that you really love, you're really passionate about, you're really exceptional at. So, my friends, if you haven't already, hit subscribe so that you automatically will get a notification of next week's episode. Share this episode and the one last week with one of your business besties that you know is struggling with this right now. I know that there are female founders out there who have reached an incredible level of success and are absolutely hamstrung because they can't get their head around this piece. Share these episodes, please, 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 please. Leave us a review. Give us some stars. Leave us a review. That helps us share too. This message has got to get out there, especially for female founders like you and I. So until next week, I want you to lead with heart, grow with purpose, and stay high voltage. Thanks for tuning into this episode of Female Founder Unplugged. If today's conversation resonated with you, I'd love to hear your thoughts. Connect with me on Instagram at High Volt Leadership and send me your questions or let me know your biggest takeaway. Looking for more strategies on scaling your business, building a powerhouse team, or leading with confidence? Head over to highvoltageleadership.ca or follow me on LinkedIn for exclusive content, resources, and special offers just for listeners. Until next time, keep leading, keep learning, and remember, the real magic happens when you're unplugged.
This podcast is produced, mixed, and edited by Cardinal Studio. For more information about how to start your own podcast, please visit www.cardinalstudio.co or email Mike at mike@cardinalstudio.co. You can also find the details in the show notes.